Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk News. I'm your host, Leticia Remauro. Thanks for joining me, I hope. I see that, we have one viewer with us. That's great. So today is October 20th, day before Mom's birthday, and we are going to embark on a journey to learn everything about the down under, specifically Australia. Oh, and by the way, NBC is still the worst news organization in the world. So, why are we talking about Australia? Because Donald Trump and Prime Minister Albanese signed an agreement today, and we want to talk about why that's so important. Hello, Colleen. Good to have you. And hello, Mama. Here we go again. Birthday girl tomorrow. So you might have heard today that Trump and Australia signed an $8.5 billion rare mineral deal. And you might be saying to yourself, well, who cares? Well, we should care, and we're going to discuss why. Hello, Gloria. How are you? But first, when you think about Australia, what do you think? Boxing kangaroos. What else do you think? Crocodile Dundee. Hi, Francine. Good to have you here. And hi, Susan. Good to have you with us. You wouldn't think that they had so many minerals or rare minerals that the world needs. Shrimp. Very good, Gloria. Shrimp. And also beef. They sell us a lot of cattle, a lot of beef, which our ranchers don't care for. But that's what they do. They gave up their guns. Yeah, they gave up their guns, and they locked down during COVID really poorly. It was really terrible what they did there. A lot of Italians too. I can't understand that. What was it? Hold on a second. Let me see if I could get this up. What percentage of Australian is Italian? I think it's pretty large. I mean, Albanese is Italian. I guess, is it close to Italy? I mean, I've never really looked at where it was in the map. I guess it's near Sicily. Approximately 4.4% of Australians claim Italian ancestry based on the 2021 census. Okay, not as much as I thought, but Albanese is, right, Italian. Hi, Tony. Good to have you with us tonight. But so it's getting to be a pattern, though, with Trump meeting with African prime minister, Ukraine, and he's asking for these minerals. So why do you think he's asking for these minerals? And what is he doing? What's his game plan here? Well, his game plan is that, let's see, China supplies about 70% of the world's rare earth mining and processes approximately 90% of the global supply. The dominance is due to its large reserves and control over the processing stages, which has allowed it to become the world's leading producer of rare earth elements. So basically, China doesn't care about human rights, and it will risk people's health to mine for these minerals. And why are these minerals important? They're important for batteries. They're important for missiles. They're important for weapons. And Trump is not going to be held hostage by China for these minerals that he's going to need for lots of things that Americans need, but most specifically weapons. So he's going to those places that have the ability to supply them, and he's making deals with them for it. Hello, Andrew Dorman. Good to have you. To bypass China and preserve our own minerals. It's true. So we don't need China. At the end of the day, that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to stay he's acting as a leader, not just of America, but of the world, because if we're reliant on China, then the UK and the EU and the rest of the world is even more so. It's a great maneuver on his part to secure multiple sources, absolutely. And to secure at the same time, he's making military alliances. Hello, Angela Recca. How are you today? So, I continue to laugh over these No King protests because half these people don't even know what they're protesting. They're creating white noise in the hopes of somehow steering the 2026 midterm elections out of Republican hands and into the Democrat hands. And we've talked about it. I will give it to them. They have had some good successes in the off years, and that's mostly because they're organized, right? Especially now, right? Since George Floyd and since these paid protesters and since George Soros started organizing, we have seen that there's this ability to get people to gather, knock on doors, and do things like that. So the same way that they're organizing these No Kings protests and other protests, they're also organizing to do door knocks and knock and drags to win these special elections. And that's something that the Republicans have never been really good at. I will say that as a county leader, I was very good at it. And we won a lot of special elections and primaries and off-year elections because we were so good at knocking and dragging. But in general, the Republicans are not good at it. The Democrats are much better, and they also have a good head start because with these protests and these organizations, these not-for-profits that are actually getting your tax dollars for various things to protest against America, they already have that ready-made crowd. And this has been going on for a while, right? We saw this. What was it when people would all get together like and dance in malls and things like that? That was going on in the early 2000s. People were trying their hands at this electronic gathering of people to put on a display, and the Democrats harnessed that, and here we are today with millions of people for No Kings protests and millions of people who could be called up on a moment's notice to help with elections. So the Republican flash mobs, that's right, the Republicans better get on their game. Hello, Lucille, good to have you with us. So yeah, those flash mobs. So these trends are not always trends. They're usually going to be used for to gain power somehow or another. Nothing is for nothing. I keep telling Mom, who likes to play that Candy Crush, and I know there's a lot of you out there that likes to do that, but it's not innocent. It's not. It's designed to turn your mind into mush, to flash advertising at you, and to be able to control you emotionally and mentally, and to steal your life and your time. These games, these mindless games, they're not so mindless, and they do harm. So, and here's the thing. If they weren't serving a purpose, then why would there be commercials with stars? I mean, people of comport, people who we knew, like Drew Barrymore, and there's more than that. I know I can't think of them all right now, but all these people are telling you to download Candy Crush or play this game or play that game. There's a reason, and they're spending big money to advertise on television to tell you to do these things. And if it wasn't that they were getting something really big out of it, like big bucks, even whether or not you pay for anything like the coins or the other things that these games will allow you to do, somewhere on the back end, they're getting paid for something. So what could it be? They're getting paid for either showing you advertisements because maybe you'll buy the stuff that they're advertising, or they're being paid for getting your information and sharing it with others. So these games, Candy Crush, Farm Life, all these games, they're not harmless. They are for harm. No King's protests. You might have seen them around. You might have seen them in the news. This is the second one. The first one was on the president's birthday, and the second one was this weekend. And there's no purpose in it. No purpose than to gather great crowds. Hello, Maisie. Good to have you with us. Hi, Corey. Good to have you. So let's get back to what we're talking about today. We're talking about Australia, and we're talking about the rare minerals and why they're so important. And I'm going to play a clip from Sky News, which is Australian, and Michael Wares, who is the American analyst for Australian Sky News, had some interesting things to say. But first, that Royal Kingdom game has major stars and it doesn't need Wi-Fi and it's free. Something is up with that. It was on my phone. I never asked for it. I deleted it from my phone. Yeah, there's a lot of them that are on your phone already. And they have major stars. So they're paying people to get you to play these games. You have to ask yourself why. And I can't tell you, I mean, I know that it's offensive to some people that I say this, but when I say these games are dangerous, my friends will jump down my throat. What are you kidding? That's my relaxation. That's my this, that's my that. Listen, I played them too. And then I caught on. I wanted to see what it was all about. I caught on, and it's not good stuff. It's just not. Hello, Mickey Petrides. You think about the amount of time that people waste on these games, watching letters flash and candies drop and diamonds and clubs and everything else, and you think about the hours that go by as you're playing these games. I mean, the same thing on your phone, right? I mean, we're all guilty of it. I'll get up in the morning and I'll start looking at, I don't know, kittens playing with balls, and then turns into puppies, and then it turns into something else. And next thing I know, an hour and a half of my life has passed by of me watching these things, which are quite entertaining, but it's also mind numbing. And that's not great. That's not great. Do people have that much free time? Oh yes, especially seniors. They have a lot of free time, and especially young people. So if you get the young people and the seniors caught up, especially the young people. Now, if you can catch a young person, let's say 12, 13 years old, and you can catch them in these games and become a consumer, you've got them for life. It's the same with the pharmaceuticals, right? If you could get the kids on Adderall or Prozac or whatever the stuff is at a young age, then they're hooked for life. And that is also where the drug addictions come from, right? Because if the doctors are giving you pills from the time that you're 6 or 7 or 8 years old, when you get to middle school and some kid says, hey, you're not a good test taker, here, take a little bit of this, and it'll help you relax. The kid's not going to think any different about putting something into their body because they've been taking pills and pharmaceuticals their whole life. So if they give them acid on a sugar cube or a smiley face or a piece of candy or whatever, they're going to willingly take it because they're not going to be afraid of pharmaceuticals. We were afraid of pharmaceuticals. We knew that we weren't supposed to touch drugs. We were taught. We didn't grow up with them as children. Okay, Tony agrees. Colleen agrees. I only play word games. Same, Angela. Same. I know it's hard. Just think about how many hours you spend. Play it in a book. If you want to play a word game, play it in a book. These games on phones, very dangerous. Cook, clean, do laundry, read, craft, volunteer, etc. That's right. These phones are dangerous. For me, it stops me from thinking about any problems I may have to face. Right. And that's exactly what you don't want to do, right? You don't want to not think about your problems. You want to face your problems, conquer them, and move on. But the games that's why people drink, right? That's why people do drugs, because they don't want to think about the problems that they face. So they use that to escape. And we know the problems there. So these phones, these addictions are addictions, one way or another. Bills on level 13,116 Candy Crush, never paid a penny, hours and hours. Right. But the thing is, how many of his hours did he spend there? How much advertising did he consume? And what did all that flashing and matching do for his mental health? That we're going to find out what's going on with that sometime. Yeah, it is. I know it's true. Listen, I did the same thing. My grandson, I'll never forget when I first started playing Candy Crush. He came home and he's like, "Ma, I never see you anymore." And he was right. And I took it off my phone. But it's too much time that could be spent with your family, talking, doing a bunch of other things that we used to do. But more importantly, what is it doing to your eyes? What is it doing to your brain? Too many hours. It's the truth. Well, I'm not preaching. Same thing here. I mean, I get lost in my phone. I think we all do. But if we're conscious of it, and if we, put a time limit on it, the more important thing is the kids. If they're taught, I mean, 2-year-olds are using phones to do all kinds of things. And they're saying, oh, it's educational. Television too, right? Oh, Sesame Street is educational. It's going to teach a whole bunch of things. But what it did instead was it took time away from the child and the mother bonding and outside time, and look at where we are today. So it really is something for us to think about. But that's not what this show is about. This show is about minerals and Australia. So let's listen to Mike Wares talk about Australia.
It's the critical minerals that were alluded to in the report that is the best thing that we have to offer. And in that sense, while we're sitting on a massive critical minerals reserve, we have difficulties extracting it and exploiting it. That requires investment. Now we're offering shares to Britain. We could offer shares to America as well, and we'd take American investment, but it would have to be on very American-friendly terms. For this president to feel like he's had some kind of a victory with us, because I don't think just highlighting and emphasising the strength and the length of our two countries' alliance will play with this president.
If there is a deal, what would you... and we're talking about rare earths here, given that China pretty much runs 90% of the market. What do you expect China's reaction to be?
Well, look, you have to say, when it comes to these sort of trade wars, whether it's over these particular critical minerals or whether it's over 100% tariffs or whether it's over anything else, China's played a very steady game with a very steady hand. They haven't reacted over the top about any of this. They've been quite reserved. So if we cut a critical minerals deal with the United States, I don't see the Chinese getting up in arms about that, because it will take a long time for any investment in our critical minerals to begin paying off. So in the short term, they will not see that as a threat to their critical minerals industry, or the way that they're strangling the rest of the world, and particularly America now, with their new licensing and restrictions on critical minerals. So that's the best thing we've got to offer. But it's got to appear to be a sweetheart deal, while at the same time, yes, reminding the president of the massive investments we've made in our shipbuilding base in Western Australia, how we've allowed American bombers access to our northern airfields, and that in global conflict with China, we would become forward operating base Australia, because the Americans militarily would lose South Korea, their forces in Japan, in Guam, and so we're the place to fall back and relaunch from.
All right.
And that, we need to remind the president of that as well.
So he said a mouthful there, right? Because Howard Zim, unfortunately, is not with us, and neither is my brother tonight. But the fact that they're letting the UK and America, or there's talk to let the UK and America invest in getting these operations up and moving is enormous, right? For opportunity for American industry and American businesses. The fact that that China is trying to strangle us by putting new licenses and fees on the rare earth minerals, and that Trump is 5 steps ahead of them, is what's bringing them to the table on tariffs. It's really interesting how smart Donald Trump is. Someone should have told him to comb his hair. Yeah, well, the Aussies are manly men, and so I guess they don't care. But let's basically, Australian government's planning to invest more than $3 billion together in critical mineral projects in the next 6 months, with recoverable resources estimated to be worth over $50 billion. They were hoping that Trump would reduce the tariffs on Australia, but he said he wasn't going to. He said that, it's reciprocal. And, the one thing that these protesters and all these Trump naysayers forget is that everybody needs us. We hold all the cards. And the fact that Trump is flexing his muscle is the right thing for America. It's not the wrong thing. I'm one of 2 on YT on YouTube. Yes, unfortunately, Kevin, we're not the biggest show that there is, but we're a good show. But it's good to have you with us. So thank you very much. And thank you for commenting. And what do you think about the trade deal with Australia? What do you think Donald Trump is doing with getting into a deal with Australia, even though he's not going to be able to get these rare earth minerals right away, even though it's going to take some time to get up and running? What's your thought on it, Kevin? We want to know. So I'm going to show you the clip of the president and Prime Minister Albanese today. The president has a lot to say about China and where we're going with that tariff negotiation next week. So listen.
We are great friends and we're great allies. And this is a relationship that's been forged in the battlefields of the world. We have stood side by side for freedom and democracy. And congratulations, I must say, Mr. President, on the work that you've done with the Middle East. Yeah. It's an extraordinary achievement. And on defence, we've already had a discussion about taking it to the next level. Our defence and security partnership with AUKUS is so important for us, and I thank you for the support that the administration are giving as well. You've had the Chief of the Navy here as well, which will play obviously a very critical role with the subs and increasing the security for the region and the world. And our economic relationship is so important. The US has a trade surplus with Australia, as you know, and we can continue to take what is every opportunity to improve the relationship even further and make it even stronger. And today's agreement on critical minerals and rare earths is just taking it to the next level, seizing those opportunities which are before us to take our relationship to that next level. And it's been fantastic, the contact that we've had together, the friendship that we've developed. And Australians love America, and I think Americans kind of like Australia too.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
China's bad behavior has really only gotten worse since the AUKUS partnership was formed. With that in mind, is the door open for Australia to get additional nuclear-powered submarines or other military capabilities not already in the deal?
I think China's been very respectful of us. They're paying tremendous amounts of money to us as in the form of tariffs. As you know, they're paying 55%. That's a lot of money. They never were paying anything over years and years and years. But they were like anybody else. A lot of countries took advantage of the U.S. They're not taking advantage anymore. No, China's paying 55% and a potential 155% come November 1st, unless we make a deal. And I'm meeting with President Xi. We have a very good relationship. We're going to be meeting in South Korea in a couple of weeks, and we'll see what we can do. We have a very good relationship with China, but you know, it's been probably a little bit like your relationship with China. They try and take advantage, but most countries do. I mean, I can say the European Union took advantage, but not anymore. We worked out a very fair trade deal. Japan, we worked out a very fair deal. South Korea, where I'll be meeting President Xi, we worked out a very fair deal. And I expect we'll probably work out a very fair deal with President Xi of China. So most of you will be with us. It's going to be very exciting. And I think we're going to work out something that's good for both countries.
So Kevin is from Australia, and welcome from Australia. Well, it's the middle of the day, morning. It's the morning in Australia. We couldn't be happier to have you here with us. And thank you for commenting. And please, please, please share it with your friends. But you might, you're Australian, but you might not be in Australia. I just got that. But anyway, I'm glad that you're happy with the deal. We are too, especially because there's going to be investment. So if others can invest in Australia and to get these ventures off the ground, I think it strengthens the bond that we have with Australia, and militarily, it really does help both sides out. Mom is saying hi to Tony. This prime minister is not popular. Yeah, so I got that. So why do you hate him? Tell us here what's going on in Australia. Why don't you like Albanese? What is it? Is it because of what the lockdowns? Is it because of the guns? What? Tell us what it is all about. I'm interested. I think it's great that he's playing the long game. Well, you know, he's playing. Oh, you are in Sydney. Okay. Well, listen. Thank you for joining us. Again, we're not a big show yet. We're still new, but hopefully we'll grow. And if you share it with your friends, if you want to know what's going on in American politics, we talk a lot about that here, but also international politics. Oh, okay. They're talking together. So, you know, at the end of the day, he has had more world leaders to the White House to discuss making alliances. And he's still talking to Putin, even though Putin has proven himself. Both Putin and Xi have proven themselves to be bad actors. He continues to talk with them. He's not going to cut them off. And, you know, I saw how all of a sudden the Russian embassy in Venezuela closed. And I think that Trump is putting a stake through, you know, he's trying to split them up as well. He's far left and woke, you know, as shit. Right. So how does that happen? How is it that is happening in Australia, of all places? We could never understand it here in America because, you know, that's the place of testosterone. That's the place where men are men. You know, that's the bush. That's where, you know, the tough people are. Americans, when we think of Australia, that's what we think of. We think of, well, you know, hunters and, you know, guys and guns and all that. When did Australia start to become woke? And what the hell is going on? Were you targeted? How did it happen? Have you been invaded? I mean, I haven't been watching as closely with what's been going on with Australia. I mean, have the Muslims come over to Australia? Have you been invaded as Europe has? And America? What has happened over there? We would love to know. We'd love to know more. You know, it's really interesting to me. And maybe one day we'll have Kevin on and he can talk to us about when Australia took the left turn. But until then, we're already at our 30 minutes. But think about these protests out there about nothing, and then think about what Trump is actually doing, having all these world leaders to the White House and having deals cut with them that are beneficial to their countries and to ours. Same thing with the Gaza agreement. The goal there is that the Palestinian people would move out of Gaza. Gaza would be reimagined, and that it would be a lot more like Dubai, and self-sustaining. So, he's bringing business to the world, and everybody's benefiting from it. And because everybody wants to live a better life, I don't know if you call it greed or what you would call it, they're all capitulating to him. So we need to continue to look and listen. So next time you hear about, these deals and these tariffs and the things that he's doing, don't be surprised if there's another layer to it than what the news media is actually reporting. The universities have been taken over as your colleges. Okay, so you're suffering the same stuff as us. And that's the way to get it. We talked about that at the top of the show. If you could get the kids early and get their minds, then that's it. You have them forever. And it's bad. Great show as always. Thank you. Oh, great to have you, Susan. Thank you. Are diamonds one of their minerals? I don't think that those are the rare earth minerals they're talking about, more like cobalt and the things that make up magnets and batteries, things like that, Mom. That's what they're looking at. There's more than 3 people, some on through Facebook, not YouTube. Yeah. Oh, no. He's talking about on YouTube. He could see how many people are on YouTube, and he is one of 2 people watching on YouTube. Yeah. No, Mom. No diamonds. So we need to get the YouTube viewership up. Ultimately, by the time the show goes through a couple of cycles, there'll be a couple of thousand between YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. But that's not enough. Not in today's day and age. You have to have millions to be of any noteworthiness. But we are of noteworthiness, and you certainly are. And thank you all for being with me again tonight. We've got plenty to talk about because a lot is going on, and we need to ignore the protesters and take a real good look at what Trump is doing as a president. Plenty of coal. Yeah, plenty of coal. Good night. Have a great birthday tomorrow, Josephine. Okay, so everybody, keep an ear open and an eye out, because you might be able to invest in Australian mines. And we can all have business opportunities. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us from Sydney. I hope you have a great day. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, 8:00. Let's see what's going on in the news by then. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Please remember to share, like, and subscribe to the channel.